Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new hot video here on the channel. My name is Emperor Poxal, and today we are going to be fighting Genryusei Yamamoto, the hottest Bankai user in all of Bleach, with some heat. That is right, today we're going to be taking a look at your guys' hot Bleach takes that you guys submitted over on Twitter. Some that I agree with, while others not so much. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, because dare I say, you will be rewarded heavily with frequent Bleach content, uploaded straight into your subscription feed. Also, if you guys end up enjoying the video and want a part 2, I got plenty of Bleach takes to go through, like literally there was like over 100 that were submitted, so drop a like. If this video gets 35 likes, I'll cover some more of the Bleach takes that got submitted. And without all further ado, let's get into the heat. Coming in first, we have a hot take from the GOAT himself, Crank the Raven, and oh boy, this take was so hot that my house is already burnt down. The take he submitted was that Fullbringer is better than Soul Society, and from an enjoyment perspective, I genuinely agree. Fullbringer arc, in my opinion, is the most underrated arc in the story of Bleach. I genuinely have it as my second favorite arc. I love how the arc established the Fullbringers, expanded the world, and turned Ichigo's world upside down. I am a massive fan of arcs where the protagonist's mind just changes and gets flipped all over the place, where the villains are just toying with his brain, and the Fullbringer arc does that very well. I love how Ichigo develops throughout this arc, and overall Fullbringer is really underrated in my opinion. However, when looking at the Soul Society arc, it's a tough comparison. I actually find Soul Society to be the most overrated arc in Bleach, while like I said earlier, I find the Fullbringer arc to be the most underrated one. But even so, I don't think I could quite agree from a writing standpoint that Fullbringer is better. I think Soul Society has to be one of the best setup arcs in all of manga, and with it, it sets up most of the story of Bleach, from establishing the captain's characters, to starting their character arcs in the story, to expanding the world by adding the Soul Society into a mix as they explore the government of this society. It was just incredibly well done, especially the ending in Soul Society. I definitely agree though that these arcs are definitely closer than the average person believes. I have Fullbringer at an 8.5 out of 10, while Soul Society is a 9 out of 10 arc for me. But to be honest, I'm gonna be straight up, I was definitely surprised and happy to see so many people have the same take. There was so many people out there that was praising my second favorite arc, and that was really awesome to see, because this arc gets clowned on a lot in the anime community for some stupid reason. Anyway, next hot take. The next hot take comes from Silver Sorcerer, and he says Rangiku is one of the least attractive females in Bleach. Can someone please ratio this man? The next take comes from the homie, the king, the rival, Eddie Hates Anime. And he says, I like the Ichiruki ship, even though Ohime and Ichigo is an amazing couple. And oh boy, this is an interesting one to say the least. I don't think this is actually a hot take in the sense of liking a ship. I have no issue with someone having fun and thinking, what if these two characters ended up with each other? I think the problem people have with the Ichiruka ship isn't the ship itself, but the shippers. They are the most toxic part of the Bleach fandom. They burn Kubo's manga, and they're constantly trying to cancel Kubo left and right for no reason. And because of that, people put their distaste of a group onto an idea. Granted, I know that you're not like this idea, I'm just saying why this might be considered a hot take. I personally don't ship the two anymore because I realized that Kubo wrote Rukia to be more like a family member to Ichigo, not a romantic interest, and he more so did that with Ohime. That's just my personal view, and I think Ohime makes a much better couple with Ichigo than Rukia would, as she is more like family to him. Anyway, next hot take. The next one comes from Tokyotron, and he says the best MC in the big three by far. And oh boy, that's gonna get some One Piece fandom pirates out there angry. They're gonna be running at your neck, but honestly, I totally agree with you. Ichigo is probably easily the most complex out of the three, and has the most interesting themes going on for him. He's also a protagonist that's easily likable and relatable to the common person, especially for me. Most people lose the dream to be someone great like the king of of the world and stuff like that rather quickly. And I think his goal in just wanting to live a normal life while wanting to protect his family and friends is phenomenally well done, especially with how he finds his identity throughout the series. He's also easily probably the most developed out of the big three protagonist-wise, and overall I just love Ichigo way more than Luffy and Naruto. That being said, I do think Luffy is still a top tier protagonist that carries the themes of One Piece very well. Next hot take is from Paskugan, and I totally mispronounced that, sorry my dude, but you said that the Arrancar arc is the worst arc in all of Bleach, and I heavily disagree. In my opinion, while it's my third favorite arc, the Arrancar arc is the best written structurally. It takes what Soul Society set up and expands on it so well. Not only that, but it sets up even more stuff down the line in the story. The Espada are all interesting, and especially the fights in the arc are just crazy well done. Granted, from an anime only perspective, if that's how you personally witnessed the arc, in my opinion, Arrancar gets the worst adaptation. So if you're an anime only for Bleach, I definitely would recommend checking out the manga version of this arc because it is way better. Anyway, let's go to the next hot take. The next hot take comes from Lettuce Eating Walrus, and he says, I'm not a fan of Toshiro. You know, that's actually a fair take in my opinion. Although the Toshiro fandom is probably gonna get very pissed with you because there's a lot of people obsessed with Toshiro, like he is constantly highly praised in the series. I mean, he is the coolest character in Bleach. Actually, wait, I think that title goes to Rukia. I'm pretty sure Absolute Zero is more cold than Flash Freeze. Anywho, I somewhat do agree. Toshiro isn't in my top 10, but it's not that I dislike Toshiro, it's more like there's 10 more interesting characters for me than there is Toshiro's. Anyway, next take. Next hot take is from Odd Eyes 18, and he says Kamamura is the most underrated Shinigami because he looks like a wolf. I disagree with the reasoning, but I agree with the first part. I do believe that Kamamura is one of the more underrated characters in the series. He is, in my opinion, fantastically well written, and his character arc is phenomenal, especially with how he becomes a hypocritical character, and how he does exactly what he told Kaname not to do after losing Yamamoto, the man that meant most to him. I think his moment in Thousand Year Blood War is constantly overlooked as well, and that's just my opinion on Kamamura as a character. For the next hot take, we have one from Miraz, and they say that Eubach is a better villain than Aizen because of what he did to Ichigo's mom, the blood war was a personal thing, and how his someone was so strong but still fears death, and Soul Reapers basically symbolize death, and to end death, he has to kill death in a way. Okay. What the heck? I kind of understand what you're saying, but I kind of don't. I honestly disagree. I think Aizen's the better villain, but I think you could say Eubach is the better antagonist to Ichigo directly. But as an overall villain, Aizen easily has my vote, especially with how subtle Kubo made his character. The next take is from Supreme, and they say that the Espada are trash besides Ukiura, and oh boy, can I just say, you're wrong? I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree with you here. Stark, Granz, Baragon, I mean, the majority of the Espada are all interesting in my opinion, and the ones that aren't super complex, multi-layered characters, or really well-written characters like Aranero, pushed another character forward in the story. But I don't think Aranero's trash because of that. I still think he's pretty well-written, considering he fits this aspect of death perfectly. I mean, Kubo does a great job with the Espada and how they relate to humanity as a whole. Anyway, I think that's just going to be a massive disagree from me. Next hot take. The next hot take is from Dijon, and he says Thousand Year Blood War is greater than Soul Society, and I agree. Coming up next is an interesting one, and it's from Otherwise Ace, and he says Bankai's went from incredible at the start of the series to boring in Thousand Year Blood War arc. Every reveal just became, this is my Bankai, it conveniently and perfectly counters the ability of my opponent, who I am fighting by pure chance. Okay, what do you even mean by that? Because honestly, I'm trying to think what reveal in Thousand Year Blood War perfectly or conveniently counters anyone. I mean, the only thing that I can remember that like conveniently counters anything was Naneo's Shikai, and you get very similar stuff in Soul Society with the relics that Shinsui and Ukitake grab. I mean, that's the only ability that conveniently counters an ability. I mean, if we take Shinsui's Bankai, it doesn't conveniently counter anything. I mean, he would have literally lost the fight he was in if Naneo wasn't there. And Yamamoto's Bankai was just extreme hype and makes perfect sense. Kisuke's Bankai would have affected any opponent that he fought, not just Askin. And it's the same thing with Rukia. Again, Rukia's ability makes sense because it's ice related, and especially Shinsui's makes sense too. But like most of the abilities, I'm trying to think of a Bankai Bankai, the reveal was just a convenient counter to a specific opponent. And it wouldn't be a counter to a lot of opponents, because all of those abilities are counters, and especially Shinsui's and Kisuke's, we had parameters that those Bankais had to be in when they released them. Like, we knew Kisuke's wouldn't be good against training against Chad, and we knew that Shinsui couldn't use his around allies. So yeah, I don't really understand this point. Please explain in the comment section if you watch this video. Anyway, the second to last was a bunch of takes from Renee, or Guts Kurosaki. I'm gonna skip the ones that we already discussed, like the Lost Agent being better than Soul Society, but they say the first half of Thousand Year Blood War is better. I think that's A's Rankar arc, and that's better than second half of Thousand Year Blood War. I agree with that statement. I think the first half of Thousand Year Blood War is way better than the Arankar arc, and I think the second half of Thousand Year Blood War is worse than the Arankar arc. That being said, I don't think the second half of Thousand Year Blood War is that bad, all things considered. The next point that they make is Ohime is the best, if not the second best, written female character in the series, next to Rukia. Ohime definitely gets a lot of development in the series, and I agree. I think she's the second best written female in the series. The next take they have is best written character is Ichigo. I think writing wise, probably most likely, like 90% agree, but I'd have to think about it for a while. Their next take is Aizen is better than Tokunada, which is better than Tozen, which is better than Ukiura. I disagree. I mean, if we're talking about solely villains, I don't know. That's a tough one. I definitely would have Aizen at the top. I might have Tokunada second, or maybe third. Tokunada is the main villain in Can't For Your Own World. I need to finish Can't For Your Own World before I make my opinion on Tokunada. And then their last point is the biggest weak point of the series is it's subtly is, but it's also the strongest bullet, and they've put reasons below, but I don't really have to explain that. I think I agree with them overall. I love that Kubo doesn't spoon feed you, the audience, but because of that, some people don't understand Bleach because they don't read all these subtle hints that Kubo puts into the story. And then my final hot take is from Axel Blaze and Sin. Well, they're completely different. I don't know why I did them combined, but I just decided I want to do Sin's too. Sin said that the second half of Thousand Year Blood War is an 8 out of 10. I agree. I have the first half of Thousand Year Blood War at an 11, and I'd probably say the second half is like a 8.5. I say 11, that's obviously a joke. It's a 10, but the second half is an 8.5. In the middle's a 10 as well. But yeah, that's my opinion on the Thousand Year Blood War. And Axel Blaze's take is Kubo ignored the potential of his human characters to introduce the Soul Reaper takeover. As a Chad fan, I will always be salty. I agree with this. I think there was a lot of potential of the human characters that was lost within the story, and I wish that they were re-put back into the story because a lot of them were very interesting. Especially if Karin had developed Shinigami powers, like that was like kind of shown in Fullbringer that she was starting to see spirits, and it would have been really cool for her to become a Shinigami. I think that Kubo kind of didn't go with that potential, and there was a lot of things that Kubo could have done with the human side of the cast. But yeah, overall, I do agree with you, Axel, with that take. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's video and spending a portion of your day watching yours truly. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button. Again, if you enjoyed it, drop a like. There was a ton of takes I missed and didn't cover in this video, so 35 likes and I'll cover them. Also, drop a comment with the take that you disagree with the most, but also the one that you agree with the most. Let's get it on both sides. And without all further ado, in the words of Genichimaru, bye bye.